Hi, I'm Joshua Lester Blackman. I'm sick and tired of seeing non-believers just get on all these Christian videos and just hate and hate and hate and have no truth behind their hate. Well, okay, they have some truth, but it's like basic truth. It's not like truth. This one guy was like, the Bible was written by humans. And then he was like, humans lie. And then he was like, you're not as old as the Bible. That's what he said. And I was like, how dumb is... I mean, the way he said that was just, like, it wasn't cruel, but it was just, like, something that everybody already knew. One thing, I know the Bible was written by humans, but it was inspired by God. And you're like, how do you know the Bible was inspired by God? As if I have to come up with every single fact for what I believe in. Well, you believe in evolution, right? How do you know evolution existed? Hold on before you even state. Lucy, who everybody likes to say, oh, Lucy this, Lucy that, Lucy this. But I looked at Lucy. Lucy has over 2 or 3 different types of animals in her to create this evolutionary thing between man and ape. And by the way, thermodynamics is flawed because some rocks are found to be 1,000 years old, and the rock next to it can be tens of thousands, and the rock next to it, it's all of a sudden it's 1 billion years old. And by the way, there is no fact proving that thermodynamics ever really happened. And by the way, if it did, we would never be able to tell how old the Earth is because the core and the mantle would always stay the same. And by the density of the crust, it would just go and circle into the mantle. Therefore, we couldn't tell how old the Earth was between 1,000 years or 1 billion years old. So there's no fact of how old the Earth is by thermodynamics. Yes, and I did study science a lot of my life, ever since I was 12 years old. And here's another fact. Here is a fact. I'm just going to point out facts just to piss them off. Just to piss you off, I'm going to point out facts. The moon. How old is our moon? You would like to say around 4 billion, around the age of the Earth? How about 3 billion? How about 2 billion? How about, let's just say, just to give you the benefit of the doubt, we're going to say it's 2 billion years old. It's 2 billion years old. Well, according to NASA, who landed on the moon, according to NASA, and as soon as I say this, you're going to say, oh, NASA never really landed on the moon because you like to doubt everything that's against you. According to NASA, they did research and they thought that when the space shuttle was going to land on the moon, all the built up moon dust was going to sink the space shuttle. That there was going to be under thousands of feet of moon dust. Because the older the moon gets, it generates dust. And they calculated this. If the moon was 2 billion years old, because it has no atmosphere, the moon dust would have been thousands and thousands and thousands of feet deep. However, when they landed on the moon, it was only 8 feet deep, proving a young moon. Well, we'll talk about another fact. Let's talk about the seashells on mountains. I like to talk about this fact. Okay, so let's say Noah's Ark, Let's say, there was Noah's Ark, and it was made from gopher wood. The only place in the whole wide world that has gopher wood is Florida. Right? Well, we'll talk about seashells on mountains. We'll talk about the ice glaciers and everything. So God floods the earth, according to the Bible, and now there's seashells on mountains. According to man, glaciers risen up over thousands and thousands and thousands of years because it goes a mile a year, and it goes like an inch up. So inching up these mountains, they take these seashells up these mountains. And by the way, if metal freezes, it cracks and breaks. Pretty much is disintegrated by this time. It's in pieces. But somehow these seashells have survived. Somehow these seashells, which have been frozen and rocks would have cracked, would survived. And these big boulders that have been cracked, and all these little rocks that have been cracked by ice, and the seashells live. I don't know how the seashells would have lived through all that ice. I mean, that basically just shows how great seashells are. I mean, I could just step on one and it just crack. But if I step on a rock, oh no, it hurts. But apparently, it's invulnerable to ice. You can literally freeze it and it won't break, according to science, of course. That's just inconceivable. If I freeze a seashell and after about a year, it's probably cracked, and years later, all the pieces are scattered out. There won't be anything left of the seashell, and that's a fact. Let's think of another fact. The Earth is approximately 93 million miles away from the Sun. You know, if the Earth was off just a little bit, we're going to say a fraction, that it'd be too hot to support life. And if it was off just a little bit the other way, it'd be too cold to support life. That's a fact. That's fine. That's just the fine printings of the universe. We just randomly got to get on the Earth. And by the way, there's like 800 planets that scientists have discovered, and only two, maybe even 3, out of all the planets could have life. Not have life, but could have life. And look, I'm a firm believer in aliens. I believe there could be aliens. I'm not doubting that. I believe they have their own book and Bible and everything, and their own history with the same God. I don't doubt it. But just 3. Oh, and by the way, here's another fact. Against the evolutionist, if you need a cell to copy another cell, which you do by a fact, you need a cell to copy another cell, then how did the cell even started? How did protein turn into a cell without having another cell? Because it needs a cell to have. It as a protein needs to copy another cell for it to become a cell. It can't just randomly become a cell. And by the way, it is 130th. It is 1 over 130th power. 130 to the 20 to the 130th power. It is 1 over 20 to the 130th power for life to have created itself. On the mathematical scale, that's more than all the atoms calculated in the universe fractioned times 2. So it's less than half an atom compared to the whole universe times 2 for it to be possible. That's a fact. And let's just say it randomly just happened. Well, let's go back to the Big Bang and say everything started from nothingness, or everything started from 2 universes colliding, or everything started from 2 explosions. Let's do this. So we come to this conclusion that an explosion happened over time. Obviously, it may have, because our universe keeps expanding. Not because gravity or because of all the explosions in the universe, but because of one big explosion. One big explosion so big that all the galaxies just spread it apart. Dark matter, of course, wasn't included in this, and dark matter was only found afterwards, and they still didn't want to include it in this. But that happened. Everything came from nothing. That's impossible, because scientifically, 0 can't equal 1. Nope. That is impossible. But let's say God created everything by his own will, and now he has will, and therefore everything would have came from one thing. So that's possibility of a fractional thing to come from 1, like a billionth. Like we would be like a billionth or a trillionth of a fraction of God. well, everything could come from God fractionally, mathematically, and that is scientifically plausible. So therefore, it's more scientifically plausible for there to be a God than there to not be a God. And by the way, quantum mechanics, which I have studied, by the way, in summer, actually has some need for God. Literally. Some of the theories actually need a God, or need a observer, or need a consciousness, or a conscious being to be there before the event happens or takes place. Which is interesting. Oh, but let's just say quantum mechanics is bogus, even though it's built on all the most mathematical things in the universe. But let's just say evolution is just greater than all the mathematical things in the universe, even though we have a finite ability to calculate anything. And let's just say that evolution beats physics. Okay, evolution beats physics. How does evolution beat physics? It doesn't use the scientific method. It doesn't use the scientific method. It doesn't. I used the scientific method on God when I discussed how God could possibly exist. Well, I used DNA. DNA would be energy because of properties. Energy holds all the properties of God. So I used that, and then I used how energy compared with God, and I compared the two. And then I used how God could firmly exist over and over and over. And in some places, God has to exist. So I used the scientific method. Now let's discuss evolution. How could evolution possibly exist? Well, if we started with the first cell, we'd have to say no, because it couldn't even start with the first cell. If we started with the first animals, did one animal evolve into another? Well, even if we looked at all the diversity of all the animals, there's no transaction animals. There's no animals that are inverse, in between. There's no fossils of animals in between. There are only animals that are fossils that were inbreds, according to biology. According to biology, by the way. Oh, we're just going to debunk biology, even though it gave us plenty of medical practices. So what's wrong with me? I'm very scientific, and I believe in God, and God supports what I believe in, and science supports what I believe in. Well, evolution is just flawed. Lots of reasons why it's flawed. There's plenty of reasons. Evolution's a fact. No, bull crap. Science gets proven wrong all the time. Plenty of scientists have been proven wrong over and over. Even Einstein, on his most finite details, on a few things he was proven wrong. But I think Einstein was the most smartest man alive. And believe it or not, Einstein believed in a God. And Michio Kaku does too. Michio Kaku pretty much had most quantum mechanics, most quantum physicists believe in a God. Physicists don't, but most quantum physicists do. Because of all the debate. And by the way, a famous atheist tried to prove there wasn't a God. Famous scientific atheist. He killed himself. On the paper that he was writing, he killed himself because he proved there was a God. Oh, and the theory of God existing, it's greater than the theory of evolution. And if you're like, well, all these religions out here in the world, why do you think Christianity is the one that's right? Why do you think Christianity is the one that's right? Hold on. I think the Bible is right. I don't take it to Christianity. I take it to the Bible. Christianity, a lot of people say it's a relationship, but it's turned into a religion. It has 40 different diverse religions in Christianity alone. And all the other religions pretty much root from the Bible or paganism. Isn't that weird? That all other religions are rooted from the Bible or paganism? What's paganism? Well, if we looked at the history of the Bible and we looked at the history of paganism, it'd make clear sense. Paganism was made basically to be against God. The Bible is just a few years older than paganism. Not the Bible, but Moses and all the people who follow Moses and before Abraham and all those people are older than paganism. And what happened was, well, according to what seems to be happening in history, is the devil seeped its way into paganism. It makes sense because the devil and his demons, the devil always wanted to be like God. It makes sense. The devil always wanted to control everything and be like God. So the devil created all these paganistic ways, and why do you think they even thought of gods and stuff like that? Well, it's because it was demonic. But you can just say, those are deities and I don't believe in them or whatever. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I don't have to make you believe in that. But science still supports God. The only thing that doesn't support God, evolution. Even if evolution existed when I was 15 years old, I already showed that, God and evolution could coexist. But that's cool. That's cool. I just don't see why you have to hate on us. Because we love science, because we love God at the same time. It's no abomination. I mean, I used mathematics and science to fight you just then. Do you hate me? Please therefore hate me. Because it only makes my argument better. Give me dislikes. It only makes my argument better. Because there's nothing wrong with what I said. You can either accept the truth or you can deny it. I've accepted the truth. Science changes, God doesn't. Science shown there was a God many times over. By default. Even evolution needs a creator. Needs the first cell. By default, science shows that there must be a God. In every aspect. In every mathematical equation. In everything we live in, there are laws, fundamental laws, that can't be explained except by an omniscient being, an omniscience being. We're life. We're life. We're flesh. And you don't see a soul, but it's there. I mean, you can fundamentally create a mind. You can possibly fundamentally create emotions. But the soul, you will never be able to recreate a soul. Never be able to defeat God, never be able to beat God. You can deny Him all you want. Who's going to win in the long run? I mean, if I'm wrong, what have I got to lose? If I'm right, I have everything to win. So hate me. Cry. Whine. All I used was science. All I used was mathematical equations, Greek mythology, and the Bible, and history. I mean, if you think about it, 2009, what? Humans were 50,000 years old? 2011, humans were 100,000 years old. 2013, humans were 200,000 years old. Ancestors used to be Neanderthals. Now Neanderthals are cousins. Who was Poseidon? Who was the demon Poseidon? Who was he? Says Poseidon created mermaids. Correct? Well, thousands and thousands of years ago we killed mermaids, and you so-called scientists said mermaids never existed. You so-called scientists said they were mythological creatures. All of a sudden mermaids are found on beaches, dried up, washed ashore with the whales. That the Navy just sent a sonar, our military is. And that's the reason why I didn't join the military. Because I didn't want to have to do something that I didn't want. I didn't want to have to do something because it wasn't going to be my choice. Killed them. These spawns of this demon. And it talks about these abominations. Mermaids being one of the abominations. Why did dolphins, naturally cling to humans? Maybe it's because of mermaids. And you can call me crazy all you want. Haha, he's into mermaids. Haha, he thought about mermaids. Well, I don't care. I just look at facts. I just look at history. I believe some of the stuff I believe. It's just plain dumb, stupid to automatically debunk everything that comes to life. And when you get to be an evolutionist, or if you are an evolutionist, everything against you is you're going to debunk. Eventually you're going to debunk true science, which you have done before. You've tried to say that it was above quantum mechanics, and you're like, quantum mechanics is just theory. Well, evolution is a softer theory than quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is built on math. Math is solid. Evolution isn't solid. Evolution will never be solid. That's why you still accept it. Well, I got solid proof for God. 9/11. Prophecy. Isaiah. Prophecy. Daniel. Prophecy. No, maybe not Daniel. Prophecy, Isaiah, and Proverbs. Talks about towers. Talks about Babylon. Guess who Babylon is? We represent Babylon. Because our nation is a rich country. Babylon was a rich country. Our nation's a rich country. So we represent Babylon. Prophecy. The beast. The Vatican is the beast. By all prophecies, it runs on 7 hills. Vicar Filii Dei is the thing inscribed on the Pope's crown. It means Vicar of the Son of God, which is a blasphemous name. And it adds up to 666. Vatican shows to be the beast. Guess what they do? They took out Second Commandment. They killed 50 million Protestants. Those are Christians, by the way. And innocent people. They want to enforce Sunday keeping, Sunday law, which isn't anywhere in the Bible. God said keep the Sabbath day. So if the Bible's wrong, why are all the prophecies coming true? Oh, your observation would be like, oh, it eventually come true. Yeah, but how close is from 9/11 to now? The beast prophecy came true before 9/11. Babylon prophecies are coming true over and over again. I mean, America's gonna crash. It's gonna fail. I mean, look at our dollar. It said Babylon's gonna fall. Babylon the Great's gonna fall. Guess what America's doing? It's falling. Who's coming in to take over? China. Other countries that we owe debt to. Our land's going to them. We have $250 trillion worth of land, but we have to give up our land because we owe so much. We're being deceived all day, every day, by leaders. And I'm not saying Obama's the Antichrist. I, for one, don't think he is. I think he's more like one of the beasts. He might not be the beast. One thing I know is that America may be the beast. It has lamb horns and speaks like a dragon. Well, guess what lamb represents? Christ. So guess what? We started as a Christian country, and now we're speaking like a dragon. Like Satan. You think, oh, he's crazy. There's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. I don't misinterpret the Bible. The Bible interprets itself. Call me crazy. Think I'm stupid. I just listed a bunch of facts at the start of this video. You can call them all lies all you want. In fact, historically, the Bible is 80% factual. Historically. And I believe it's 100% factual. All the prophecies coming true. So jump off of us.